I don't like realism. Anytime Minecraft tries to make my world more realistic, I just build another giant cube and hide in it. But which updates terrain is the least fit and the worst, not just for this, but for a whole host of other measures? Well, first I need to say I made a mistake, because Beta 1.7 is apparently the version that pleasures the old school community, but today I want to take everyone back in time to these 5 versions to see if these people are right in their affinity, or if maybe they're so far right that they think Mussolini didn't go far enough. But in either case, hello, I'm AbYX These are the 3 seeds we're going to be going through today, because I figured if we just took one seed back in time, then it might be an unfair seed to one version or the other. So instead, I picked 3 very different seeds, one very simple number to type in, one string of text, wow, my favorite text to say, that's very vain, but I'm a YouTuber, and the third is what I got when I googled best Minecraft seed, and so that should give the current versions a bit of an edge, but will it actually manage to maintain an edge when measured across these 3 categories? Well, that's the question we'll find out as we go into 26.2. This is the current modern Minecraft version, and so when we load up, say, the seed 100, we get a version of what this can look like in its most modern form. This is with the sulfur caves, this is with everything post 1.18 caves and cliffs, and so it means that you get seeds that can be very hilly. Genuinely, this is the seed 100, a randomly chosen one, but you can still see just how chaotically not flat it is, and therefore how low this has to score on building. Or I guess what I mean is buildable terrain, that is relatively flat terrain you could actually build something on, because obviously there are buildings on this seed, quite a lot of them in fact, so it does quite well on structures, just doesn't do well on places to actually build a house, because when you've got mountains everywhere, you end up with very few places that you are allowed to build on without doing serious terraforming. The dream seed, in my opinion, and the reason I'm using these 3 criteria, is because I like structures as a way to break up and add something to the world. Spawning next to 2 structures, by the way, is a wild coincidence, but I also like being able to build, but I also like being able to choose where I build. I don't want to be locked into a plains biome if there are jungle trees to be had, or if there are some wood trees to be had, or if there's something else entirely. I want to have fun with the most possible both Minecraft blocks, but also forms of Minecraft world generation and vibes. And so when you get a big plains biome, but not too big, but it's surrounded by other biomes, you can rate it slightly more nicely. It's even more nice when you have a ruin portal, a ravine with, wow, a dripstone cave coming out of it, and a village by spawn. This massively ups the variety score, so this is my final seed, and it's one that I picked specifically because it's meant to be great in this version, but as far as I can tell, I don't know about that so much. Looking around, you can see I've got birch forest, regular forest, birch forest, birch forest, birch forest, birch forest with a hill, and then, oh, actually, there you can see there's a pale garden and a roof forest too. But if we're being real with ourselves, isn't this kind of a pale garden? We've got birch trees, we've got yellow flowers everywhere. I mean, I'm just saying, the biome diversity is forest, forest, and more forest, but there is, to be very fair to it, a ruined portal right by spawn, and there is a giant hole, which I love for accessing caves. It really feels like it's encouraging you to jump in, and then it leads you to a mine shaft, which is even more fun, because unlike a villager, which just gives you stuff and maybe a little bit of a trade challenge, this is kind of like, yeah, the world feels like it is built for a bit of fun. But ultimately, I've got to say that my scores for this one are not super generous, which makes me think that, yeah, Minecraft right now is too realistic to really give me exactly what I want. Will old versions beat it, even when we use the very best seed for this version? I'm going to look up why this seed was even so good. I put this list together at 2 a.m. The thing that makes this seed so good is that if you go 15,000 blocks away from spawn, you do find a mesa and desert village with 29 villager houses. Look how big this one is over here. Which is nice, don't get me wrong. But if it's 15,000 blocks away, it's not counting for the sake of these measurements. Because who even goes 15,000 blocks away in their world? Let alone thinks that it's worth writing home about. So, questionable Minecraft seed, awful spawn. Can it be defeated by the same seed in a previous version? Well, that's what I want to know. Version 1.17, which will see me next Friday or so, is an interesting Minecraft version because it was the last part of Minecraft to come out before the Caves and Cliffs Part 2, an update which was loved at the time, but which has fallen into some questions after, because ultimately, oh wow, it looks so different in the menus here, because ultimately it did create a lot of new mountains and terrain that isn't necessarily loved. So how does 1.17 look for the seed 100? Well, let's find out. So this is the seed 100, and the reason that I use my criteria for what makes a good Minecraft seed is because ultimately I take the viewpoint that realism in Minecraft should only exist to serve the gameplay. Anytime you add realism and it makes Minecraft a worse game to play, you haven't done players a service. I'm playing a video game here, I know I'm not going hiking in the real world, and 1.17, you know, the pre-1.18 terrain, has a big point in its favor, which is awfully loud music. But critically, what it has going on in its favor is that mountains are tiny here. Even on the Seed 100, where we apparently spawn next to a good few mountains, they go up to just this height, and given that it's not Bedrock, I'll have to press F3 and show you they're at Y101. You can get 40 blocks above sea level, and that is considered to be a tall mountain in this version, which might be bad for realism. I mean, this is 40 meters above sea level, is like barely the Netherlands level of mountain. But what is interesting is the fact that, like, we still can say that this is a decent Minecraft seed that has a mountain for the terrain purposes, but it's really easy to cross. Climbing up and over and getting the view from this is much easier, meaning from a gameplay perspective, these mountains are better. But obviously, I've got my free criteria, and biome diversity is still important. Having a big forest is still bad. Buildable terrain is really important, and so even when it's an extreme hills or the gravelly mountains or whatever you want to call this thing, there's no gravel here, but even when it's a super ugly spawn like this, you've still got to be able to say, like, well, you can build on it quite easily. I don't know that you'd want to build in this biome, but for real, once you get outside of this forest, the water is flat, the mountains are flat, as funny as that is to say, and even the clearings between the forests are amazingly quite flat. They do have this ugly little water lake, which is apparently a big old Minecraft problem, but what is interesting is the fact that, therefore, I'm going to say that this seed does better than its 26.2 counterpart on the metrics that I care about. Besides structures, where it fucking sucks. You could be entirely forgiven for thinking I'm playing with structures turned off, one of the weird Java exclusive features, because there's none anywhere nearby on the surface, meaning, yeah, this is delightful for people who don't like structures, but, as I've said, I think that structures... Oh, there we go, we found one! Oh, can we raise that 0 up to a 1? Technically speaking, we can. In case you're wondering why do we have such a low render distance compared to what I usually use in my videos, well, Java only goes up to 32 chunks max, and we're only using 16 of it because as we go to older versions, that render distance goes down, and I don't want to penalize the seed for bad render distance, because what you can see and what the seed has are not the same thing. One of the few points I think everyone is right about is that 1.18 can feel like it has too many mountains, because if you spawn by mountains, it's just so intimidating, and it is kind of tricky to cross. But I also have to say that when you're on the Seed IBX Toycat, that's exactly true here too. I've spawned on a survival island that looks like Australia went on a diet, or maybe it looks like a Canada goose, kind of. Can you see it? But still, we spawn on an island that looks like this, with nothing really visible around us. So, 1.17 terrain, unless this is something incredible over here, I've got to say, it's not my favorite today. I mean, it's flat. Water is flat. There's no... If you wanted to build on top of it, it'd be great. Not that you actually can, besides when... Oh, there's a geode! So cool. That's the nice thing about oceans in this version. Anyway, but you can see, like, you could build on top of this kelp field, if you wanted to do that. Or you could take some of these beaches, but even then, they're not very flat. So, yeah, biome diversity starts low, gets higher. Buildable terrain starts low, gets almost still low. And structures is amethyst geode so far. But I like to do a little wiggle around just in case I'm horribly wrong. But man, yeah, could be pure chance of the seeds we have. Or it could be that 1.17 just spawned in much less well put together spawns and therefore much less to see. But yeah, as far as different biomes go, they are much closer to me, which is nice. But I think this is the worst seed we reviewed so far, and I'd be amazed if it wasn't the worst seed we reviewed in total. Because, like, what can we really give it? For biome diversity, I think it's mid, right? For buildable terrain, this is worse than a mountain. I genuinely am willing to say that. You can build a flat land on top of a mountain as easily as you can build a flat land on an ocean. You know, you can build into the mountain on the mountain, whereas the ocean's just like, yeah, you're going to get killed by a drowned and that you're going to like it, damn it. So I think that giving this buildable terrain anything more than like a 2 would be unfair. And for structures, we've seen one structure and it's a geode. And although that is a world feature more than it's a structure, I think it still barely counts towards being one that's great. Also, icebergs suck, but they are here. So I think 5 for biodiversity is fair, but that's the highest score this is getting. Speaking of getting high, here's the question. This great seed from the current versions of Minecraft, how is it when we go back in time? You would expect it to be worse. This should be the seed that only gets worse over time, and you would expect correctly. Jesus Christ, this is an awful spawn. Interestingly enough, it's more mountainous than the 26.2 seed, which goes to show, even if you think that mountains are a new invention, they still existed, and sometimes they went up to 122, 58 blocks above sea level right there. But still, you can say that this is a seed that is rough to start with, and then gets better with a nice plains. But that plains is ruined by... I didn't realize how bad Java Edition was. Java players just had to deal with this many water lakes until 2020. Everyone just accepted that that's how it was. This is awful. Also, I was only able to find one structure after looking around, and it was this humble jungle temple. So, I mean, what can we even count this as being? Like, is this good? I like it. It adds to the challenge. It's better than not having a jungle temple. But if it's the only structure you'll find anywhere around anywhere in Spawn, I don't think we can rank this highly for structures. So, this is our third seed that we can say has objectively done worse than our... In fact, 100 is the only seed that even beat its first score in a way or two. And so, wow. As a result, we can say that this is not a seed I recommend you play in this version. And ultimately, based on my free random seeds, I don't know that I can recommend this version for what I like, because it does discard realism, but it doesn't add much gameplay value in exchange. It feels like the Uncanny Valley, where like we have a lot of biomes, but there's just enough of them to mess up your spawn or the area around your spawn, without really adding to how beautiful or interesting the world looks. Also, we might have seen our tallest 1.17 mountain yet. So this is the heights of the heights. This would have been a crazy Seed Sunday thing back in the day. And this is Y128, 64 blocks above sea level. And half of the way to the world height. Or a third of the way to the new world height. Absolutely nuts, if you ask me. Speaking of nuts, do you know what else is nuts? The fact that there are people that say, yeah, 1.7 went too far for me, because I remember, as a console player, just dreaming of the one day our worlds would get updated, like the update that changed the world. But anyway, I'm back in 1.6.4, the Minecraft version that added horses, and which has a very pixelated logo, and we're going to be loading up these same seeds again. I mean, I feel like you're probably aware of this. You probably understand the format for this video at this point, but just in case you're waking up right now and you only are seeing this video for the first time, hello, I'm evil possessed Spoon, or Steve in this case, and today, because obviously old Minecraft doesn't keep the same skin. Today, we are going to be looking at how this seed is exactly the same as... Well, no, it's the same as the last one. It's a coincidence. So you spawn in a jungle, but critically, you can't sprint while in creative. Man, life sucks. And also, critically, you get access as soon as you're outside, like by going a few blocks ahead of you, you get access to a desert too, a little stony beach, and then a plains and swamp. 4 biomes that close to spawn really does say that I think that old biome diversity just kills it compared to new biome diversity. Like, the biomes themselves are less diverse from one another, but they come much closer together, which is, I guess, an important thing about diversity. You can see that there were still hills in these versions, although there's all sorts of bugs with shadows in them. Interestingly, these bugs existed when I was playing the beta version of Minecraft, so you can see that even though 1.8 to 1.6, beta to full release, was a couple of years of development, not really a lot changed in terms of this, but what you can see is by doing just a small loop around spawn, we already can see that there is enough. But I think we've seen every single biome, and more biome diversity than we've seen elsewhere, and we have the exact same structure that 1.7 had. So that means that we've gotta be fair to this seed and give it a 2. I mean, it's the only structure I think we'll be seeing anywhere nearby. And we also have to be fair to the other seeds when it comes to buildable terrain. There is a fair bit of it, but there's also random breaks in it, like with this. What even is this? Is this a lake or an ocean? It feels midway between the two. And indeed, you can see that, like, even though the hills exist, they're weirdly flatter. You know, they're more angled in a way that makes them more approachable. And also, there's lots of deserts and frozen and swamps. Most of the biomes besides this one and the jungle hills are actually kind of set up for flatness. And so I like this in terms of biome diversity, but I can't say it's a perfect buildable world terrain. But will that change? I think that this is the best version of the Seed 100. Oh, that's a controversial opinion, but I haven't seen Beta 1.7 yet, to be fair. The Seed IBX Toycat, on the other hand, is actually the same level of biome diversity. I mean, just based on the fact that I can see 4 biomes from my tiny render distance. It's gone down at this point because now we just get far render distance, or close or short, or tiny, which is, I mean, I don't think you could really do a Seed video on tiny. This is the Herobrine Seed review. But anyway, you can see that the render distances are super tiny, but so too are the biomes, which is a nice fit for each other, I think, because it means you can probably always see a new biome on the horizon. And also, these biomes, outside of the bit of snow that you have to clear, which is just the same as clearing grass right now, are super, super buildable, I would say. But, you know, we can say there's biome diversity. I think it is slightly less than the last seed. We can say it's buildable terrain. I think it's a good bit more than the last seed, besides this ocean. I think it's slightly more than the last seed. Are we going to find a single structure? I genuinely, at 1.6, has almost a good chunk of the structures we have today, but I don't think we're going to see any, to be honest with you. I'm saying I think that as if I have some magic crystal ball about what this seed will look like. But yeah, for the most part, I don't see any sign of anything here. Have we got our first 0? Yeah, I mean, if there's none structures, we can't give it more than a 0. Also, it has one of these chunky oceans. People love a good chunky ocean, but they're wrong for loving good chunky oceans. Yeah, I can't even do a /locate command. I could probably put it into a seed mapping tool. No, never mind. Chunk base only goes as far back as 1.7, meaning we are on our own. Again, the fact that 1.6 came out, we're in the big, 2013, and we're still looking around. Is it 2014 maybe even? And we're still looking around seeds that look like this? Man. I really do think that it's interesting, but this is ugly. We're far enough away from spawn. This is ugly and there's no structures to break it up. They're just like, yeah, it's winter mode now. Go deal with it, you shit. Yeah, I've got to say, this second seed has slightly soured me and made me go like, oh. You can get seeds in this version that are just deep the same biome. I have just gotten lucky, or near spawn, you are always lucky. But in either case, keep that in mind. You know what else you should keep in mind? The fact that this seed does spawn on a jungle as well. That is 3 of the last 4 seeds giving me a jungle. But again, critically, 1.6 spawns you at the edge of those jungles. And you can see it's not just that I can see a desert and a jungle, I can also see a plains. I like that about old Minecraft versions. Again, I'm unashamed about the fact that I think that, yeah, sure, a desert might not be realistic to be this size, but I want to have a desert that's this size, so if I want to build in one, I can. Or if I want to build in the plains, it's not I'm not having to get in the stretch limo, or I'm not having to grab my Lamborghini. I like that it's just right over there. Honestly, something that's incredible to me is this. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say that this is already winning me over, but please give me a structure or something. Give me something to say that this is good terrain Minecraft, because right now, all I can say is that it's more buildable than the current Minecraft versions, and with better biome diversity, and all the Asians aren't in Antarctica. Trust me, I would know. It's part of my family. Yeah, if you go out the other way of the jungle, where it is actually kind of chunky, you'll see the forest and the snow plains. Again, with a tiny loop around spawn, you can find every single biome that exists, which is both a praise of the size of the biomes, as well as a slight critique about the number. To be fair, I think by this point, the Mushroom Island would have been added. But still, we haven't seen all of them. We've just seen all but the very rarest of them. So it's not really that high of a praise. Also, same as the last seed. Despite doing a big loop around spawn, I don't see any sign of any structure. So yeah, just to show you this seed again, but from the survival perspective, where I can sprint, you can see just how immediately lovable it is. Some people will say due to the textures, some people will say due to this beautiful C418 music that's playing. But I would say there is something about the old terrain that is charming in its own right. Even if there is a chunky ocean we'll never get to the other side of, and even if we have a massive desert with just nothing to show for it. Honestly, I kind of wish we'd done this for console, because if we were playing console edition, there's no way we wouldn't have a structure by now. I'm just saying. So we finish off this round showing that I think that 1.6 terrain is better than 1.17 terrain, but clearly there's a lot more variability between both of these and the current version, 26.2. It's 1.26, we all accept that. But what is interesting is the fact that even if you play older Minecraft seeds, and even if you love my criteria, you still are going to have to choose between them. Because the older back in Minecraft we go, the less this gets important. So as we reach the 60% way through this video mark, I do have to clarify that this last round has been abysmal for the structures and world features, not even finding a single structure of any form, despite looking around quite extensively. And so that means that even though I was expecting the next round to be the biggest drop down for this, because beta 1.7 does not have any structures, is what I want to say is true. So besides maybe the occasional abandoned village, and even then I don't think that that is actually correct. So as a result, I think that this is going to be where comparisons get interesting, because right now we're comparing across 3 dimensions, but now that we've already basically wiped out the structures and world features, how will the buildable terrain and biome diversity compare as we go back in time to beta 1.7? Well, let's find out. Man, I love the nostalgic view into these old menu screens. Just seeing that slow progression backwards is kind of cool, but also kind of cool is the fact that this version will let me convert over those future versions into it, so I can take the Seed 100, and rather than actually playing it fully new, I can load it up right here and... oh. Wow. We can spawn in immediately like that. But obviously, for the sake of this being a fair comparison, we do need to load it up fresh. Although, isn't it amazing that even when it's not fresh, you can see that the world is just so different. Its grassy color is just so vastly different. The textures are wild. It's survival only. There are so many differences that it kind of feels like we're playing a whole new Minecraft version anyway. Because we literally are. But let's go load this up today in 1.7 beta. So this is 100.7 beta. And I have a confession to share with you. I did already do this, and I just wasn't recording. So I do happen to know that this spawn, I was at first like, okay, it's a bit weird here. But then, what do you find on top of here? Wow, it's actually a plains biome or a forest biome next to this desert, next to this kind of plains over here. Honestly, immediately you can see that if you like the biome diversity of 1.6 and all of the old versions from 1.8 beta onwards, it looks as though 1.7 has you covered, but even better. Like, look at the size of that biome. It's honestly, it's at the point where I would say, what are you even going to build there? But what is interesting to me is if we head over there, besides the fact that it is at least slightly flat, have you noticed this desert? Even though it's the flattest biome in Minecraft to stereotypes and to memories and to people who talk about the past confidently, actually this desert is horrifically hilly. Sure, the hill isn't at quite as stark of an incline, but this isn't buildable terrain. It's a desert. It's a nightmare to actually build on. And so what's interesting about this version is that, yeah, the desert is vastly different. I can also say I wandered around for far too long, and I did not find any form of structure, as you would expect, but I also didn't find any form of real features. The world is just terrain, with your features being cactuses and dead bushes, and I hope you like that. Also, it feels slightly laggier, but that could be, like, you know, it was built for different hardware. I don't understand why it would be laggier, or why mobs are not that bothered about me, but I can understand the wildest thing about this version, which is that when you take damage, there's no hunger, you just immediately convert food into health. It's a health potion with no drinking time. What's not to love? Anyway, so, oh, actually, this might be a feature. There's a little cave over here. I mean, it's a very charming cave. But still, you can see old Minecraft it definitely had some character to it. But in this particular seed's case, it's not as biome diverse as the last seed. It's about the same level of buildable terrain, but it's a nothing for structure and world features. Or I'll give it a 1, because I like the random caves. And I like that there's no lakes everywhere. I mean, if caves count as a world feature, we're really having to push the envelope on what we count now, don't we? Yeah, every one of these caves is just so charming. I think it's the lack of smooth lighting. But I'll give it a 1. I'll be generous to this 1.7 beta version. Maybe in a way I'll regret later. Speaking of generosity, have you considered subscribing to the channel in this world seed field? Wait a minute. Anyway, this is going to be our second opportunity to look at beta 1.7 terrain. I previously only looked at Gargamel, which is a standout example of the seed. This also has a desert, which gets us very close to a plains, which gets us very close to a, again, I think savanna is the modern word, but actually I think it might also be called a savanna, the kind of warm plains here. I'm loving the music, and I also love the fact that if we punch a sheep, oh, it's 1.7. If we'd have punched a sheep one version earlier, it'd give me wool without me needing shears. And, yeah, so overall, this is a decent spawn, but does it get more decenter and less rocky? I mean, yeah, you can see that there are flatlands in the hills. But this almost feels like this was like a notch programming mistake more than like intentionality. We're not going to judge it on the intentionality because obviously it is here and that is handy, but it is kind of strange. Speaking of strange, you want to see underneath the cactus texture? Yeah, you better believe you do. It's just wood down there. So speaking of things that are wood, let's now go into things that I would say are good about this seed. It has remarkably small oceans, which are good because you can cross them and still feel like you're doing something, but you don't ever feel, I imagine you wouldn't ever feel like you're lost. We have these interesting little like island kind of vibes. Really makes me think of like the archipelagos that are probably near Stockholm where this game was made. And I like that there is a lot of flat terrain, like suspiciously flat. But yeah, otherwise, there's not a lot of world feature. Again, I'm going to be generous and count this weird archipelago as a world feature because it brings me nostalgia. But I think that me giving this a 1 is me being overly polite on my own metric. I think that we should be zeroing it out, but I can't bring myself to do it. And that is the hard thing about this list, isn't it? I think that we probably should. I think, can you count world terrain as a feature? I don't think you can. I think we're going to have to say that if this is going to have any semblance of science, and I'm trying my best to be scientific, we should all try that as much as we can in our life. I think that if we look at this, we could say it's decent, but I don't like the biome diversity as much as the last world. I think the buildable terrain has gone down drastically, and I think we can't give world features any amount out of 10. I'm going to even go back and downgrade my last one down to a 0. That's how confident I am with this, because ultimately, beta terrain should stand out on its own merits, but I haven't seen those merits yet. Speaking of merit, this is the seed, the big string of numbers, that is meant to be only good in the current version. It was picked specifically for that version, but interestingly enough, you can see that, wow, what's this here? I mean, it's hugely interesting because the grass and the leaves are so green. But it is actually showing that, exactly like you might expect, it is a bad 1.7 seed. I think that maybe what this is telling me is that really to show that 1.7 terrain is great, you might need to cherry pick your spawn. Although actually, oh, look at that. Looks like Cove from the Minecraft console edition a little bit. If you can picture that as the eye, that is the eye, that is the nose, and that is a messed up mouth. Okay, you know, it's a reach, but I like this mountain, actually. I think the seed that is cherry-picked might be this one. This might be my favorite so far. I'm disappointed the render distance doesn't go any higher. And I'm also a little confused about the fact that there's just random dirt generating in the world. Like, it looks like it's meant to be grass, but just hasn't become it yet. That's something that you just don't really see. Again, I guess we're starting to really get to the point where bugs are starting to really pile up as they're desperate to get something out there. Because, you know, modern Minecraft can afford to wait a year to roll out an update to get it right if they want to. But if you're not making money until you roll out updates, if the game coming out is what you think will be the big successful thing, you're probably going to get it out there. At some point, we have a discussion more about the values that old Minecraft represents and how they're different to the values current Minecraft represents. But values are hard unless they're numbers 0 to 10 representing biome diversity, buildable terrain, or world features. So this is the most mountainous seed from this version, and if F3 exists, oh, it does, I can tell you that we are at Y120. It was in a different place. That means, oh, wait. Also, that sheep has a name. He's 63,727. That's a beautiful name, friend. You go strong with that. Oh, and this is 63,726. You guys must be related. Anyway, more seriously, you can see that this is a big mountain about as high as you would find all the way up to 1.17, which is crazy that we can say this about a version like this. But we can. Also, the clouds are super low, and this seed has bad biome diversity, but really nice world features. But the world feature is a mountain. But is a mountain a good world feature? Also, I just fell and then placed that. Is that a bug? How did that happen? Anyway, as you can see, if we get below the cloud layer here, even though this is a beautiful mountain, if we're being real with ourselves, the reason it's interesting is because it brings a little bit of reality. And I think that bringing a tiny bit of reality makes it this beautiful, jarring, old school thing. But like objectively, it ruined our biome diversity because we can't see any other biomes on the other side of it. Objectively, it has managed to take away our buildable terrain, because where are you going to be building on this mountain? Here, maybe? Well, actually, it's a nice spot for building. So this is at least more flat than you'd expect, but as far as actual structures or world features go, not very many. You get funky bits of the world gen like this, and you get skeletons holding bows in one hand like that, and a score that is and EO. But overall, I would say, like, this is what it is. And you know what else is what it is? The oldest version of Minecraft that doesn't have any, or the newest version of Minecraft that doesn't have any biomes, Alpha 1.1. I've been seeing a lot of people saying, you know, actually, people who like Beta 1.7, they're kind of weird and strange. It's Alpha 1.1 that's all the way. And so, even though I've already upset the Beta 1.7 community, again, these are my criteria. To be fair, this is a seed that you can ignore for the sake of the results. But still, this is the first version that is just objectively worse than the one that came before it in every single respect. And that is something that I think is very interesting. Beta 1.8, gang! No, more seriously, let's check out Alpha 1.1. This is Minecraft Alpha. Man, the logo has changed once more. Every time they change the world gen, they change the logo, apparently. I kind of want to know what the tutorial level was meant to be. This is my bad for not having come back to this version. I didn't realize there was a tutorial level option. This is the classic case of like, Java wants to do something and console did it first. But again, isn't that crazy? But you can't tick it. There's no tutorial level yet. I have to look this up on the wiki, actually. Oh, this is a funny thing. They just added the play tutorial level button. They never actually did anything with it, or even said they were going to do anything with it. Oh, there's world slots. There's save files. Man, people would have forever worlds more if the game limited you to 5 saves. I'm just saying. Maybe bring back some awful ideas so that people will play their games like I do. Speaking of playing games like I do, look at this terrain. Genuinely, this is the most staggering so far. Wait. I don't think I picked a seed. Yeah, I'm like 98% certain I didn't get to pick a seed. And so we can't take these same seeds back in time. This is just a random one. So we can let that slide for the seed 100 as I give you an overview of the land. As you can see, things are beautiful. I mean, there's no sounds. It feels like, yeah, there's no sound. Wow. Is Alpha that old? There's no sound. There's no biomes. There's just vibes. So technically speaking, on biome diversity, you would figure I would give it a 0. But interestingly, before they added biomes, they had a pre-biome system that kind of worked in a similar way. So like some parts of the world will have trees. Some parts will have hills. I will say that it's low biome diversity. It's all green grass. It's all the same stuff. It's all a limited world too. Wow. There's so much of alpha that makes its way into the into the console version, huh? But what I will say is, as far as buildable terrain goes, not very good, right? It's beautiful to look at in that pseudo-realistic way, but it's terrible to build on. Also, wait, there's a sheep. I'm finally gonna get to do my thing. Let's give him a good punch. Mr. Sheep, I am going to tell you that you're not very good. Oh, and I got enough wool to make a bed. But there are no beds. So what can you do with the wool? I mean, I can craft it maybe. Definitely can't craft that into anything. But I can imagine. So did this version even have crafting? Honestly, I can't take anyone seriously who says that they for real genuinely want to play a version with no sound. I just do not believe that that can be true. Yeah, crafting table. So does this look the same as right now? Yeah, wild. It looks all the way up to like classic textures ending. That is actually kind of wild, huh? So yeah, this is the wild 1.1 alpha version of Minecraft. I don't think we can really use this for our comparisons, though. According to the Minecraft wiki, yeah, beta 1.3 is when they made it possible to manually determine the seed upon world creation. Okay, so there is a program that exists that was last updated in 2017 called MBT Explorer, and it's got such a delightful, like, setup wizard here. So let's just go into it, and that should allow us to edit our world seeds, even though Minecraft doesn't allow you to do it until beta 1.3. World 1! Oh, perfect! So now we just have to know, is it level.dat I would guess it's in? Data, 9 entries. Is there a seed? There is a seed! Yes! Okay, so that means we can in fact check these seeds in these old versions. Heck yeah! I already did the intro. It'd be embarrassing if I had to say, whoopsie, wrong version, video ends there. But I'm too smart to let that happen. Yeah, random seed 100. Okay, so what's really, really funny about this is genuinely just the first seed I found when searching best Minecraft seed for modern version. I think it's the best out of the alpha seeds. I think that 100 and IBX Toycat have redeeming qualities, and I'm actually amazed to say that even though there are no biomes, the terrain is so different seed to seed that genuinely I think this is the best. Okay, has the problem? Big ocean. Don't like that. But it also has some nicely shaped land. It's got mountains, but like in the distance rather than in your face, like on IBX Toycat. Hate to tell you, but IBX Toycat ain't so great. Too many mountains for my liking. That's my critique of the channel, at least. But you can see that overall, this provides a nice mix of the closest thing we have to biomes, lake, ocean, plains, forest, and mountains. And so, genuinely, I think I might go ahead and say that I prefer the alpha version of this seed to 1.7. I'm a bit confused at why saplings are just underneath trees here. And I'm also gonna have to say that these cave entrances, I never played Minecraft in this time, but they give me nostalgia, which is a fake nostalgia. It's like, if you ever look at a photo of yourself as a child, you might remember it as a memory. Or if someone tells you about it enough, you'll be like, yeah, I guess that happened. But you're wrong. Your memory is wrong. Your memory just constructs things in real time. You don't actually have like a list of DVD recordings of your childhood. And so I don't have a DVD recording of the first time I played Minecraft. I have a DVD recording of the second and third time I played Minecraft. Well, you could put it on a DVD. It's on YouTube. But what I do think is interesting is that, like, yeah, if we look at this world, it's a pretty decent seed. Oh, that must be where the old seed is hitting the new one. So I like this, but I can't count it as a feature. But pro tip, if you want to play alpha and you want some nice harsh walls in there, change your seed after making it in the MBT Explorer. So what did we learn from this particular version? My god, I don't really know. I guess I learned I like alpha 1.1. You know, actually, let's do a proper analysis with all the scores. And I figured the very best place to talk about Minecraft terrain would be to come to some of the beautiful terrain that we have in the English countryside. It's green and it's square and it's vaguely covered in grass. Perfect place to talk about this. So here is the data as I have analysed it. The first and most important thing is which of these seeds in which version is best if you're looking for a world that's good by these 3 criteria. Well, the answer is, interestingly, IBX Toycat in the current version. I mean, That's fun for me. I guess it was a 1 in 3 chance of happening, but still very interesting. That was my favourite seed that I went through today. However, the more interesting question, and the titular one, was which of the 5 Minecraft versions has the best overall seeds? I think we can spoil it by saying that Alpha was by far the bottom, but then I can say that the very best Minecraft seed actually came from the modern Minecraft versions, 26.2, which is really interesting. I thought it might be because we had the seed that was biased towards 26.2, but interestingly, the gap actually grows by a point if we remove that entirely. But yeah, just a point ahead of second place was the modern generation, which makes a lot of sense because, yeah, if you like biome diversity and you like structures, then you're probably best off playing the version that has a lot of biome diversity and structures. Arguably, those two criteria are always going to be biased towards the most modern version of the game, assuming they don't remove more structures in the future. And so, as a result, we could say, like, well, that's kind of fun. But what's interesting then is if we say that, okay, well, this is biased towards new versions. What's interesting is the second version losing out by just 1 point, and so within the scope of our error that we could have here, I think you could reasonably say close enough to tie to first place is the 1.6 generation. This is really surprising to me. I was sure that it would be, like newest to oldest, just looking at it, but no, actually, 1.6 terrain was really, really good, I think. And why is that the case? Well, obviously it has the ease of building, and it's slightly more biome diverse than the version that came after it. And indeed, third and fourth place is 1.7 and beta 1.7, which means that clearly I just have a hatred for the word 1.7. It's a bad vintage. But more seriously, there is something interesting that happens there, which we could maybe, if we're using the logic here, we could maybe explain to, like, maybe it's just the nostalgia of when you first start playing Minecraft that shapes these characteristics to begin with. Maybe the reason I like those 3 things is because those are the 3 things that Minecraft had to me when it was at its peak. Even though I thought I loved the update that changed the world, maybe it changed the world in some ways that I, found to be fun and novel, but actually found to be more harmful in the end. And so was 1.18 the perfect update? Only, and crucially only if, most of your time spent playing Minecraft was after 1.8 beta. If 1.7 beta better represents you, either because you played a lot more of it, admittedly I played TU1 for, 6 months compared to 1.8 to 1.6 would have been years, but if you played a lot more beta 1.7, or if you like that specific style of terrain, and you specifically do not like structures, then that is the version for you. And I thought that was really interesting that we found that out today. And maybe you agree. I thought this was a really fun Seed Sunday, and hopefully you did too. I'm in cider country right now, drinking some cider. It's been delicious. But with that said, I really was quite surprised by these results, and I think that the actual conclusion I would like to draw is, as much as I'd love to say this is the scientific proof modern Minecraft is the best, the real thing that I take away from it, after a half pint of rhubarb cider or two, is probably the fact that I think that your criteria for a Minecraft seed are always going to be the most crucial thing, and that's why it is that when I do these Seed Sundays, I'm always going to have focus on what I like the best, and my rankings will always reflect that. But also, critically, I think that it's always important that you see, and you can either say, well, I agree with Toycat, and therefore I like what he likes, or you can say, I really dislike what Toycat likes in a seed, and it's useful to see what it is that he likes, so I can see that I don't like it. Maybe it is, I think I'm really seeing this right now, the Chaos Cubed update is great to me because it adds a brand new biome, and it's effectively changing a bunch of existing structures with the new bounce disc and stuff. And so, I really like that, and I'm seeing the rest of the community go oh yeah, this isn't a good one. And so, I think that's the fun thing about critics and opinions and stuff like that, is just like restaurants, music, or cars, you're gonna find someone whose opinions you agree with, but even if you don't, as long as you can respect it and find it to be at least agreeable, then you'll find that. And so, if you like structures, biome diversity, and indeed you love a good bit of building, who doesn't? It's called Mine Build after all, then maybe you can check out the Seed IBX Toycat right now. Maybe we should give it a better look. Maybe we should try every version of my name. We should do the most, I don't know the word for when you're really full of yourself, because I've never had to use it, but, a really self-focused, Seed Sunday. That'd be a lot of fun, eh? Anyway, with that said, thank you for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. I'm gonna have myself a weekend now. No, wait, by the time you see this, I've had a good weekend. Goodbye. Hope you have a good one too. See ya.